Del Sol over here at the shop today, and going to talk about the Supercharger and all that stuff. I have taken it off now. Got a little clip of it coming off. All right, guys, there's the Supercharger, all the pipes still set up, ready to go. So pulled the belt off and started pulling stuff off, drove it here, finished pulling off. Now everything's back to normal under the hood. Now it's time for these to go. Not super anymore. So yeah, the AMR500 little supercharger is, I mean, super cool. It's a really neat supercharger, and it's a pretty cool thing. And like I said, I hadn't seen many people trying to do this. I've heard people talking about doing it to a Honda, but hadn't seen any videos or anything else. So it was a really cool experience to play around with. And then we've had, other people saying, well, why not run two of them? I don't run another one and either put electronic clutch on it and try to do it that way and have two different ones that come in. But for one thing, room, I don't know that there's enough room to actually do that. And I'm not sure that it's really going to help you very much. The issue on this car is that it revs up to 8,500. So if it only revved up to 4,500 or 5,000, then you could run the Supercharger at 3 times its speed and actually accomplish something. This engine is just too efficient and too large and too high of an RPM. There's just too many things going against it. A smaller engine, lower RPM, and not VTEC, less efficient. I mean, you're definitely going to see some gains. This thing is actually faster without the Supercharger. So yeah, the low end, bottom end torque, it doesn't have as much, but it seems negligible. Once we took it off, you could tell how little that Supercharger was working for this car. It really wasn't much at all. So on this thing, it's just, with this motor, it's just not right fit. So it just doesn't make enough. But it's actually faster on the top end. So now when you could see when VTEC opened before that it was pulling into vacuum a little bit. It was actually pulling down just a little bit. And now when VTEC hits, it actually opens up and it feels like it's screaming compared to having the Supercharger on there. So it's amazing, like I said, how much faster it feels now that the Supercharger is off of it. And bottom end torque is not that big of a deal because of these. You can rev them up and get them in a higher range, taking off and everything else. And they do pretty good. And this car's got a fairly big motor for a Honda, being the GS-R swap. And now, it's a pretty light car, and it does fine anyways. I may look at, in the future, turbo in this one, like I've done the other ones I've had. And it could be pretty cool, be pretty neat. But that's kind of that story. That kind of finishes up the Supercharger thing and kind of where we're at with that. And then I also wanted to tell you about a hit and run that I was in. So check this out. And it doesn't look that bad, and that's because I've pulled it out. But that's it. So I've actually reached in there and tried to pull it up, but it had hit and knocked this in, and you can see where it was rubbing on the tire right here and everything. So, but yeah, I was going, it's probably about 9 o'clock or so. I was going over to my buddy Caleb's house, and a guy saw him flying through a restaurant parking lot, and he came flying out right in front of me, and I wasn't sure if I could move over. I wasn't sure if there was traffic beside me or anything. So I was trying to get slowed down, but I was flashing my lights at the same time saying, hey, you just pulled out in front of me. I need you to go because I'm having to lock it up. And he stops. He just flat out stopped right in the middle of the road, and I'm locking it hard down now, and ended up sliding to the left and then clipping the back part of his bumper. And he pulls up, he's sitting there, and I'm essentially beside him now, and he's like, he looks like he's just dazed. So pretty sure he was high, and he was having a very hard time communicating. And I rolled down the window. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he was like, what? And I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, you literally just pulled out in front of me and stopped. He was like, no, I didn't. You were in the other lane. I was like, dude, I was not in the other lane. And he kept just going on and on. I was like, it doesn't matter. I said, just pull over. And I said, we'll let the cops figure it out. Which usually if you hit somebody from behind, it would be my fault anyways, right? No matter what. So I just told him, pull over the side. We'll let the cops figure it out. Well, he just takes off running, like just goes. So I'm like, okay. I was like, now you're going to run. So I was like, he was in a Dodge Dakota pickup truck, and I was in this thing. I was like, this is going to be fun. I was like, that's fine. You run. So I just sped off, took off after him. He turns off the road right up the road to the right. And, and off of that road is just houses. It's just up and down hills, going through curves. I mean, it's going everywhere. So I thought, all I got to do is chase him down enough in this thing, which will be easy, because I've got plenty of good suspension and engine and everything else. And he's in this top-heavy Dodge Dakota truck. I said, he'll just come off the road. Sure enough, right down the road, he comes off the road and just can't make the turn. He slides and goes into these people's yard. And I guess he's so high, he doesn't realize what's going on. He's just spinning up their yard, trying to get up this hill in his truck. And by that time, I'm on the phone with 911 and saying, hey, this just happened. This guy just ran, and I'm behind him. And she was like, what's his tag number? So I gave her the tag number. I'm sitting there right behind him. And he gets out of the truck and starts to walk around the back. He starts looking like, why am I stuck? He gets back in the truck, decides I need to back up and get back on the road. Well, at that time, I decided not to follow him anymore because I've got his tag number. Well, ended up, the tag number came back to nothing. Like, not even a pre-registered vehicle or a canceled tag or anything. Like, the number came up to nothing. So it's just completely wrong. So anyways, nothing will probably ever come of that, except for my damaged fender, and which is not a huge deal, right? So I could probably even get most of that worked out or get another fender or whatever. Right, listen to this. No more annoying whine. Oh, so much better. So much better.